So we've talked about checking on your 3D for signs before, if your circumstances are moving in your favor before. We've talked about meaning making. And now let's just see what's the root of it all, right? Underneath all of it. The checking, the spiraling, the decoding. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Reddy, and yeah, welcome to my channel. So underneath all of these things is one thing, and that is mistaken identity, right? So your 3D is not the problem. Your mistaken identity is. And when I say identity or mistaken identity, I don't just mean your name, your job, your hobbies, right? I mean the invisible bundle of stories you've carried for years, for a long time. The stories that say, I'm not chosen, I'm not safe, I'm not enough, I need to control life or I'll get hurt. That's the you that keeps getting triggered. That's the you that keeps looping. And the moment you stop identifying with that you, the game changes. The identity is not like one big thing. It's not solid. It's not permanent. It's a bundle of stories you've glued together and called me. And every time something happens in the 3D, you scan it through that identity. Right? The specific person doesn't text you back, or your friend doesn't text you back. See? Well, I guess they don't care about me. I'm unworthy. Money's slow. Well, see, I'm not supported. People behaving in a certain way. See, they're being weird, so I just don't belong. But it's not the 3D doing that. It's the mistaken identity grabbing for proof. Another way of saying mistaken identity is the ego or the separate self. And if you stop buying the identity, there's nothing to prove, right? And you've experienced this, or you're caught up in that identity, and I have as well. And I've seen this in like a client story that comes to mind. Client was wanting to improve a relationship, or one where she had no contact, and she was trying to work to be in the state, right? She stopped checking, but the minute her specific person acted distant, like her, that mistaken identity got activated. She came to me saying, well, I know that I'm not good enough. Like I can feel it in my body. And I said to her, well, no, you can feel an old story trying to stay alive, right? That's not you, that's identity. And then, of course, we work through it somatically, through somatic inquiry. And that was her light bulb moment, just that recognition. The pain was not about her specific person. The pain was not even about what happened. The pain was the identity fighting for survival. So her specific person started to change gradually, and things started to fall in place because she was able to see through that discomfort, right? And so the ego, the false identity, would rather be right than free. It would rather loop in pain than admit, well, this isn't who I really am. Because all it knows is itself, right? Because if that mistaken identity, the ego or the separate self, they mean the same. If they all dissolve, what is left? There's silence, there's space, there's presence, there's freedom, there's that recognition of love. And guess what? Freedom or love, if you want to use it synonymously, is terrifying to the ego. It's terrifying to this separate self because the separate self's job is to protect the self it believes it's unsafe. Without the unsafe self, the ego or the separate self has no job. That's why it fights to keep you small. That's why it clings to all meanings. That's why it panics when you relax. Your growth is a threat to your old mistaken identity. Your presence or peace is a threat to this separate self, this mistaken identity. Can you see that? And I want to share some like scripture quotes that come to mind because this is ancient wisdom. It's not like we didn't pluck it out of nowhere, and it's wisdom because it's always been here. Like it's truth that was waiting for us to see. You must be born again is a scripture from John, a quote from John, which says, well, the death of old identity, right, is the birth of a life rooted in I am, not in old stories or what Gita says, the weapon cannot cut the self and fire cannot burn it, which means like the real you awareness cannot be harmed. Only the false self, the story self, believes it can be. And as long as you identify with the false self, which is the separate self, the mistaken identity, you will keep making 3D a problem. And I'm curious, have you ever seen like the Truman Show? Truman is trapped in like a fake world. Everyone around him is acting. But Truman's entire life is built on one identity, that this is my real world. And the second he questions it, the whole illusion starts falling apart. And that's exactly what happens with identity. The second you question, what if I'm not unworthy? What if I am not unsafe? What if none of this means anything truly about me? The separate self, this mistaken identity panics. It's like, no, 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 you can't go there. Because once you see it's a movie, you're free to walk out of the theater. And to the separate self, that's threatening. So I want you to just roll your shoulders back, pause, and feel into this question. Without the identity of I am worthy, who am I in this very moment? Without the identity of I am not prioritized, who am I? Without the identity of, well, I'm not chosen, who am I in this very second? Feel into the space that opens up. Notice what comes up. Maybe it's relief, maybe it feels ordinary. All is welcome, maybe it's neutral. That spaciousness, that neutrality, whatever shows up, even if it's nothing, that's you. That's I am. That's the one who was never missing anything. Can you see that? So the 3D is not the problem. Your checking wasn't the only problem. Your meaning making wasn't the only problem. Those were like symptoms, right? So the problem was the you who needed to check, the you who needed the 3D to mean something. And all of that is based on a mistaken identity that needed evidence. The good news is that you don't have to fix the identity. It's kind of relieving. You don't have to heal it. You don't have to wire in a new one. You can simply see it clearly and stop feeding it. And then the old costume gets dropped as a consequence through any of these guided pauses. Because underneath it, you were never unworthy. You were never unsafe. You were never not chosen. You just played that role so long, you thought it was you. I thought it was me as well. And it sucked. And now you remember, I am. And I am, or this awareness, does not loop. It doesn't defend. It doesn't explain. It simply is. And that's the end of the game. So next time the identity flares up, don't fight it. Don't fix it. Just ask, well, who would I be without this? And then rest in that. Your 3D is not the problem. Mistaken identity seemingly is. And the moment you stop clinging to that identity over and over again, the 3D stops being a problem and you're free. And if you want to know how you're one with your desires, you can look at my Weightless Experience. And yes, it's not always easy to see that, oh, there's no ego. Like, you don't just wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm ego free. No, it's a moment to moment thing. Who are you being? It's not a hack. It's not a one-off experience. This is it, you know? So I'll see you in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you.